Hello, people of the internet. It's me, Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi, and I've got some friends with me today to discuss the new spoilers for Oath of the Gatewatch. I have the White Robber himself, Mr. Rob.
Hello.
I have Teo Masashima with his culturally inappropriate name.
Hello.
And we have Dave.
Hello.
Who's just Dave.
Hello, Dave.
Okay, so I'll kick us off then. So we're talking about the new Oath of the Gatewatch spoilers. We've got a mythic Eldrazi, a mythic land, which everyone loves, opening one of those bad boys, and a new basic land. So, Dave, do you want to take us through why you don't think Kozilek is real?
Because of the templating on the third ability. Comparing it to Counterbalance, I feel that, it just doesn't seem right. I feel it should be just discard a card, then, after the colon, counter target spell if its converted mana cost is equal to is the same.
The thing that makes me think it's not real, other than the stupid mana cost, which we'll come to in a moment, is the fact that it doesn't interact with exile in any way, shape or form, and it doesn't destroy anything. Like, the fact that they can just counter a spell seems really weird. And we've had Eldrazi that either exile or destroy stuff when they come in, or they swing and they blow things up, and they just cause they leave desolation and destruction in their wake. This guy just shows up, draws you 7 cards, and then counters stuff.
Well, what I would say in defence of this is that the original Ulamog, when he came into play, he destroyed target permanent, and the new one comes into play and exiles 2 target permanents. So the abilities are similar and related in some way.
Almost powered up, yeah.
Exactly. So old Kozilek, as soon as you cast him, you draw 4 cards. When you cast new Kozilek, you can draw up to 7 cards. So it's the same ability as his old self,
but powered up.
I
think he's pretty dumb, what he does. If that mana cost isn't as restrictive as some people are thinking it is with the new mana costs, then a 10 mana draw anywhere between 1 and 7 cards that can then throw cards away to counterspell stuff, and he protects himself. He's like an Aetherling almost, in the sense that he can survive removal because he counterspells things and then has some sort of evasion. This guy might be the next control finisher because of that.
Yeah, certainly. And we are seeing, we've seen Ulamog Sisasanga seeing constructed play, in ramp decks, as it's becoming more and more common. So I think it could definitely see play.
I mean, on that topic, the Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, the new one, Nulamog as we call him, has been seeing play in Tron in Modern, and obviously all these big colourless fatties give Tron new toys each set, and everyone was scared that the next Kozilek or Elmercore was going to be another Tron goodie. This Kozilek with the mana cost, we don't know what that means yet, do we? So that means that he might not be playable in Tron unless Tron went the full mud, sort of brown, no-coloured land route. So that brings us on to the fact that we've got a new basic land. So, Teo, have you had a look at the spoilers? Do you know what the new basic land does?
Yeah, it's the new wastes, isn't it?
So it's a wasteland.
Yeah.
Oh,
how funny. Yeah, I mean, looking at it, it seems silly. It seems like a stupid idea to me to add it in, especially as we were discussing earlier in draft as well. If you had to draft it, it would make it basically completely unviable.
So for those that don't know, when you had Snowlands in Cold Snap and similar sets, you had to draft those Snowlands. Even though they were basic, you couldn't just add them to your deck afterwards like you can with any other basic land. So the wastes have to be drafted. So to be able to cast your supposedly 10 mana Kozilek, the Great Distortion, you'd have to draft 2 waste lands. I hate saying that.
Were the Snowlands in the land slot though still?
Yes.
Because that's my main issue with this card, is if you look at the text at the bottom, where it has the number, next to it has a C rather than L. So it's going to be in a common slot.
Yes,
rather than a land slot.
So so if one of your commons is taken up with a wastes, it's going to make it difficult, and it's going to make the draft experience a lot more different, because you're going to be ending up with you could end up the last two cards in the packs could be lands, for example, or you need to think about how many other cards in this set are going to require these wastes.
Well, I guess if all the waste cards are really high, like rares and mythics and actual powerful bombs, then I guess they get first pick. You pick up the wastes afterwards, right? Or people pick the wastes in pack 1 in anticipation of what's the draft format? Is it Oath Zendikar?
Think so.
Yes.
So you get to pick up your waste inverted commas bomb in the first pack, and then pick your waste inverted commas lands. No, wait, the waste in inverted commas, the land bit isn't in your second pack. Yeah, I don't know if I like the sound of this. It sounds messy and clunky, and
It sounds. I think it sounds too clunky for Wizards. They usually
they've learned the
have
lesson,
everything.
right?
Yeah,
Like
surely.
with Kamigawa and stuff, the parasitic. This seems very parasitic, right? Like, who the hell are going to play these in any constructed format other than standard? Are they going to see any modern or like Eternal play? I don't think so.
I would be very surprised if they did. I mean, it makes Domain better.
It
'cause
doesn't.
it's
It
extra
doesn't,
basic.
no.
It doesn't have a subtype.
Because this is the fix, isn't it? This is the fix that they discussed, that they couldn't make a land with another subtype before because apparently a Tribal Flames that does 6 damage would be too good. Even though in any deck playing Tribal Flames, if you stick a fucking colourless land in it, your 5-colour land gets very clunky. It's dumb. On the topic of colourless lands, we then have Mirror Pool, which looks like 3 Wormclaw engines attacking a rain cloud. Has anyone noticed this?
Yes.
No, but now I see it.
It obviously isn't.
Kind of does.
Elements Battle tapped, it makes one of these new mana types that we don't really understand yet, which will be the last point that we discuss. And it has abilities to copy target instant sorcery spell that you control by sacking itself, or sacrifice it to put a token onto battle as a copy of target creature you control. This card seems quite good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, having lands
Yeah.
that do things, lands that have spells attached to them, have always been good. Although what I would say is that we had a run of colourless spell lands in the last in Battle for
And they've
Zendikar.
been seeing a shitload of play as well. Like,
Yeah, they are, but I mean, like in terms of a limited environment, there's so much you can do in Battle for Zendikar with like lots of mana, and there's so much late game stuff you can do. Like the power of those spell lands is a lot lower than it would be in any other set. And while these two effects are very, very powerful, I would say that it might not be as powerful as you think if you've
I
got
don't know,
other things to do.
copying
Like,
a massive Eldrazi.
Well, yeah. Look at it this way. So you've put your Kozilek into the field, right? And it's protected himself because he's got this obscene card drawing, force of will style ability. And then finally they kill it. And in response to that, you activate your Mirror Pool, making a clone of Kozilek, sacking the original one. And you've still got a 12 spell that protects itself with the next spell you cast. It just clones your win con again. So I guess its power level is dependent upon how restrictive the mana cost is going to be, because we still don't know what the hex, the Zedron mana symbol means, right?
Mhm.
That's the other point. That's the other point that we should come to and discuss. Is what do we think that means?
well, I like Dave's argument in that it means that it has to be. You cannot use coloured mana to spend for a colourless ability. So call it a devoid mana, if you will.
So essentially, just to clarify, because we discussed this a bit earlier, that is 1 mana that has to be colourless. It cannot be red, blue, green, white, or black. It has to be colourless, which is in some ways I don't like that either, because it means that Kozilek can just be cast with a colourless producing land like a Tron land. So they are getting all the toys, and Tron decks can get to have all the fun with these stupid cards like Kozilek.
That's true.
Do we have any other theories? Is it just a new mana type? Because that seems too parasitic and doesn't seem like good design.
Yeah, it seems like you have to jump through a lot of hoops. I mean, you should have to jump through some hoops to cast a card like Kozilek, but like 10 mana's quite a few hoops to go through. Anyway, like it seems like you really have to do weird stuff to be able to cast these cards.
I hope that the other thing I thought was I hope it's not an alternate cost like they did with Phyrexian mana, because it could be pay
That was the first thing I thought when I saw it. I was like,
Rather
is that
than-
Eldrazi and
exactly.
Phyrexian? That sounds awful.
Exactly. So maybe it's like rather than pay mana for it, I don't know, say sacrifice a permanent of some kind, maybe perhaps a land, because that seems quite on theme.
Or exile X amount of cards from your library. That might be a thing. Like exile top 5 cards of your library, but that seems too easy and too simplistic to do. But we come to probably the end of the discussion because we are running out of time. Let's just go around and ask who will actually play Kozilek. So if Kozilek is real and that's what he does, who's going to cast that card? Dave, will you end up casting that card anywhere in Magic?
Probably not.
Rob?
Definitely. If I draft this and if I just pick one, pack one,
Draft,
I'm going
Jesus.
all in. I'm going all in.
This sounds just like when you draft Emrakul in Rise of the Eldrazi. You never get to cast it. It just doesn't happen. It's 14
Yeah,
mana.
there's a massive difference between 10 and 15.
But this might be 8 mana and 2. Stick a finger up your butt. We don't know what it does. It could be like really restrictive, but we just don't know. And Teo, what about you?
I wouldn't touch that card if it was solid gold.
Why?
Because it's a joke. I think it's very dumb.
I think if it's real, it seems like one of the more powerful Eldrazi so far in the sense that it gets to draw you so many fucking cards. So you can just empty out your hand early game and then resolve this huge threat with the counter spell back up, and suddenly you've drawn 7 cards again and you've got a menace 12/12 that counters stuff on the field. The card seems a bit obscene. I don't necessarily think it's real. But thank you everyone. Thanks for watching, listening, or whatever you're doing with this. We'll make more videos in future. Click the subscribe button, click the like button if you like the video, and drop in the comment section whether you think we're correct. Come back in a year's time and see that we've talked absolute bullshit and we've got everything wrong like we normally do. Thanks for watching. See you later. You guys can say bye now.
Oh, bye.
Bye.